Well. Good morning, West Ham fans. It's another day, so clearly we'll be linked with another South American player. Yes, everybody has. I don't know what I just said there. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. Hump day is over. It's Thursday. It's all round to the weekend. Father's Day. Don't forget Father's Day. You can still get your little metal figurines with the West Ham shirt for Father's Day, with 25% off with our friends Alloy Collectors. Put in the code WHN25 at checkout to get 25% off. Keep an eye on the channel. Might be doing some really cool stuff out next week with the Alloy Collectors, particularly if you live around the East London area. We'll just say that. And also keep an eye out because there'll be some new kits coming out shortly, which I think you guys are really gonna dig. Gonna dig? I sound so preppy. Anyway, 101 players we've been linked with, 102 now, because of Mr. Fabrizio Romano. He yesterday he went with the "here we go" for 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙏, and it seems that we're still talking about Wesley. Maybe Wesley might come in January, potentially, when the Brazilian Serie A season finishes. But we've been linked with another South American winger. But this one plies his trade in Serie A. And the gentleman in question is 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏. There he is, Argentinian, being dubbed the new 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏 Maria. Not a bad comparison, potentially. But according to the friend of the West Ham community, Fabrizio Romano, he has said that Tim Steiner has been monitoring the Juventus Argentinian foot winger for some time and suggests a deal could be on the cards for the 21-year-old attacker who can play right across the front line. And again, it's very similar to what we were saying with 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏, Jarrod Bowen, Kudus. They're all flexible enough to play across the front line, and it does seem that Matthias could be another one. He was quoted on his X account, his Twitter account, saying, "Understand West Ham are among clubs showing concrete interest in 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏. He can leave Juventus." And an important post with some of all options still open. West Ham have been monitoring him this year. I mean, he scored 11 goals and 3 assists in 36 games on loan at Frosinone, obviously on loan from Juventus. Average 7 out of 10 on SofaScore, and very, very impressive stats really. The fact that he was playing in a poorer side, they did end up getting relegated, but not due to his efforts. 14 goal contributions this season. He's a left-footed right winger, so an inverted winger, and he's been noted for his dribbling ability and set piece taking, earning comparisons with Angel Di Maria. He lists his idols as, unsurprisingly, Lionel Messi. And he's, as I said, yet another guy. I mean, 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏, he can play all across. It does open the question, the type of players we've been linked to, the type of players we have bought in terms of 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏, looking at 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙍𝙏, and obviously at the moment that we know that they're very much linked rather than, but it does seem for Fabrizio Romano to, he does add a little bit of credence. We've been linked with Wesley as well. I wonder whether they're going to be utilising Bowen in a striker's position this coming season. I don't know. It just seems there's a lot of very similar types of players we buy. A point I made the other day was, that front four, they're interchangeable, and they would be a nightmare And I think someone mentioned it was like Ajax. It's like the 70s, the Dutch side, the Ajax sides. They'd have the forward players be all very fluid, and it's a roundabout way. It's taken, almost 50 years, and we've gone back full circle. But I got that feeling, and maybe they're pushing Bowie more centrally. Maybe they're still a bit. They don't know what's going to happen with the 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋 situation. Obviously, Lucas was stuck out on the left wing. He needs to be as a 10. I think Kudus is more effective as a 10 than he is as a right winger. I think Bowie's actually more effective as a winger than he is more centrally. So it's fascinating to see the types of players we're being linked with and how that's going to all fit in. Obviously, we won't know until pre-seasons and obviously the Premier League kicks off. Obviously, the fixtures start were announced next week. So we'll be bringing that as soon as they're announced. But it's just really interesting, I thought. Another interesting point is, I mean, Matthias is 21, 𝙍𝙀𝙋𝙋 is 18, Wesley is young as well. And so, as we said, the profile of the players we're sort of being heavily linked with are in the younger age groups. On the majority sense, yes, there'll be, been linked with the likes of Wilfried Zaha, who's in his 30s and stuff like that, and there, as you do need a mix, but it does seem the type of profile we're looking at is between sort of 16 to 26, and actually it's more like 16 to 22, 23, really. So yeah, 16. I mean 18 to 23. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And it does sound that we've been tracking Matthias all this season, really, all the season just gone. So as I said, it's 102, the 102nd player we've been linked with now. And it's only going to be more. Only going to be more. Now, tonight, this afternoon, at lunchtime, we have got a cracking interview with a guy who you may well have heard of. His name is Darren Blewett. He was an academy player. He was actually, he was actually a shin pad away from making his debut at West Ham, and we'll talk about that. We've got a whole interview. It's a long one. It's, I think, the longest interview I've ever done. It was previously Terry Connolly, who was very happy with the fact that he'd always had the longest interview. I think he's taken over. It was almost 2 hours. So, but honestly, it's a fascinating story. Fantastic in the sort of the fascinating, not fascinating. I mean, it's a brilliant story, but we go through Darren's whole life, and we're going to get Darren back on the channel because he's so funny. Some really good stories, really funny stories. But he's a West Ham fan at heart. And we talk about, getting into West Ham. We talk about youth team. We talk about the academy. Obviously, he's sort of involved in a little bit of capacity now. So talking about what he thinks about why the lack of progression. We talk about he scored. I mean, if you remember the Mark Noble testimonial at the Upton Park, he scored one of the penalties. He was mates with Mark Noble, so we talk about that and sort of the detrimental effect that had on his life and his mental health and stuff like that. It's a fascinating story. And then we still managed to get his Miami's 11 in, which again, players that he's played with and players that he's seen play as a fan. I'm going to leave you a little bit of a tidbit, a couple of minutes from Darren. And until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. As the Darren's interview is going to go up at lunchtime, and here's a little tidbit of a little, what's the expression? A little amuse-bouche. An amuse-bouche. I'll leave you with Darren.
And then I would say the next 4 years of my life was awful. Was probably the worst. Was terrible in regard to my mental state, my addiction problems that I got, and where my life went to, and although it didn't, I mean, it wasn't solely the football stuff, because there's other things that in life, your upbringing, all bits and pieces evolve in it. But I kept going back. One of the things that was so prevalent was that, like, I was meant to be a footballer. That was what was it. When I was a kid, that was it. And it's not like a pipe dream. It wasn't like I was fucking now.
You were a pair of shin pads away from being it, really, weren't you?
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah. And I always say this to even my missus, or people don't really understand football as much. Yeah, if I'd got, I think two things. One, if I'd been at a different club and it happened, I don't think I would have been affected as much. And I actually think I would have had a career in football, because I think I wouldn't have been affected so much by it being West Ham, because that took that quite to heart. But the other that was quite a big thing I felt for me, because, as I told you before, everything was taken to heart. Like everything, every loss, every bad performance by the players, by whatever. But the other thing was my age. So when you get released at 16, although it's heartbreaking, you think thingy, most people go into careers and they do whatever, and they live their life and they play a bit of Sunday league with their mates, and this is what it is. It's not a problem. But when you get that little bit, or quite a bit, and then I weren't earning massive money, but it was good for my age, from where I'm from, and it was okay, and I was getting free things and this, that, other, and you get a little taste of it. So have it for about 3 or 4 years, and then when that goes, I believe, this is why I think I was trying to get into clubs and try. This is something I'll talk to you further down the line. That my experience, I believe, still is it's still others that sort of the same, but mine's unique in regards to, I think it released before my pro. I got the pro, I got to a certain state, and then it was taken. And when you're 22, it's completely different. Not like when I got released, it weren't like they have money management people now.